This is the Rode NT1 5th generation. This is a great sounding microphone, but there are some problems. We're going to be doing a very honest review on this. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly about this microphone. We'll run some sound tests. We'll let you hear it on USB, XLR, see some of the features and all kinds of good stuff. So let's get started. If you're using this as an XLR microphone, I really don't think you're going to have many complaints, but when you switch over to USB, you might. And it's not the sound quality. You can barely tell the difference between XLR and USB when it comes to the sound quality. This thing has an extremely good preamp built into it when you're using it on USB. If you would like to purchase one of these microphones, there will be an affiliate link in the video's description where you can get this, a bunch of other amazing equipment, and some Waves audio plugins to dial in that pro quality sound. The audio interface that they built into this is top notch, but that's a USB only feature. In the box, you get this pop filter and shock mount kit, which is great, except for it weighs about 1.7 pounds. And this part on the front sticks out about, 3 inches? And if you're sitting down in the chair, this thing is sticking out so far it's constantly poking you in the chest. Not great for somebody sitting down. So I put mine into a lighter weight shock mount that works just as good and doesn't have a big obstruction on the front. This microphone comes with a 10-year warranty, which is crazy good. You also get a really nice USB cable and this really awesome red XLR cable in the box. There was a few other little accessories in there that I don't really remember or find important, but let's get back to the video. It has a 1-inch gold spurted capsule, which is great. This microphone has dual connect, which means you can put USB or XLR. You can't do both at the same time. One of the coolest things is 32-bit float and DSP processing. More than likely, you already know what 32-bit float is. If your recording software is set up for 32-bit float and your microphone is set up for 32-bit float and it clips and distorts, you can actually fix it. And without 32-bit float, you cannot do that. So bottom line is, if you just did a 2-hour recording session and you realize you messed it up and it was clipping and distorting, well, if you had the 32-bit float activated, you won't have to scrap that 2-hour-long recording. So 32-bit float can be a lifesaver in some situations. This microphone has pretty much zero self-noise. It's actually the quietest microphone ever invented. Some microphones actually produce a little bit of noise from the circuitry inside, and this will produce pretty much zero noise at all. If you happen to have the Roden Connect software on your PC and you're running this on USB, you can connect this to the Roden Connect software, and that will allow you to use the DSP Effects. It's almost like having a mini Rodecaster Pro when using the Roden Connect software. We'll connect this to USB in a little bit and show you all the stuff you can do, and all these things sound great, but there's one thing that keeps me from using this as a USB microphone. There is no headphone jack on this microphone. Every single USB microphone I've ever used had a headphone jack. I can plug a set of headphones into that microphone and listen to it in real time. You cannot do this on the Rode NT1 5th generation. Now, you can plug this into your computer and turn on the monitoring, but it adds a lot of latency. So by the time it goes into the computer, runs through all the software, gets back into your ears, your voice is slapping back into your face. And it throws you off so much it's not even funny. Every time I try to do a recording or monitoring myself on USB through the computer, that delay on my voice, when I play the recording back, I notice I'm slurring my words, I'm not pronouncing things properly. It messes you up so much more than you could ever understand. Every single microphone I've ever had that was USB, including my $30 Fifine, this little thing right here has a headphone jack on the back so I can do zero latency monitoring. I mean, for 30 bucks, you can't beat this thing, but it's definitely not pro quality. But if they can add a headphone jack to this little $30 microphone so we can have zero latency monitoring, why couldn't Rode do that to this? The other thing I don't like is there's no physical gain knob on this. You have to attach it to the computer and go into the software in order to change the gain on the microphone when you're using it on USB. So if you're somebody who's traveling and you might go somewhere and you need to plug this thing into a computer, if the person's computer you're using doesn't have the Roden Connect software or won't allow you to install it, you're kind of stuck with the microphone set the way it is and you're not able to change it. And I don't like that. When I heard how good this sounded on USB, I thought, I'm just going to use this on USB. I'm not going to have to use the audio interface anymore, and then I can just use that for doing microphone comparisons when I need to do a YouTube video. I soon realized I have no interest in using this on USB, mainly because I can't monitor what's going into the microphone properly. You don't hear people on reviews talking about this, but it is a complete deal breaker for USB. I just don't understand why they couldn't add a simple headphone jack to this thing. I guess they're going to come out with the 6th generation that's going to fix these problems. That's what Rode does. They come out with something that's just not quite perfect, and then they bring out another version of it to make it better. I don't know if this is something they do on purpose, but I guarantee you there's going to be a 6th generation that comes out that's going to have these controls. It's going to have the gain knob on it. It's going to have the headphone jack on it. But I almost guarantee you that's what they're going to do. All right, let's do a tap test in the Bose shock mount. We're tapping on the boom arm, the shock mount, and the desk to see if it's picking up much resonance. Let's go ahead and do a resonance test with the shock mount that it comes with. I get about the same results. There's a little bit of resonance, but nothing too crazy. No matter what you do, you can't tighten this down. This is always freaking moving around a little bit. Let's go ahead and type on the keyboard and see what happens. Is it picking up the keys as I type? It probably is. I mean, it's a condenser microphone, and these keys are a little clacky. All right, let's test the Polsives. Peter Piper picked a pack of peppers. 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 Well, the pop filter works great. Let's go ahead and test the proximity effect. Hello, this is how we sound when we're right up on top of it. 2 inches away, this is how we sound. 3 inches away, check, 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 1, 2. Now we're about 4 inches away, check, 1, 2. Now we're about 6 inches away from the microphone, maybe a little more than 6. It's starting to pick up more room noise. Now we are back kind of far. I don't suggest using a microphone this far away. Let's test the noise rejection. So this is how it sounds when you're directly in front of it. A little bit off to the side. What's up? What's up? Now we are speaking into the side of the microphone. And now we're talking into the back of the microphone. Now we're back onto the front. Now we're about 45 degrees. 90 degrees, and yeah, I'm not going to talk into the back side again. So there you go, there's a test. That was probably the goofiest way to possibly do that, but it was fun. Now let's test the Siblance. Silly Cell Seashells, Silly Cell Seashells, Silly Cell Seashells, Silly Cell Seashells, Silly Cell Seashells. And if you talk directly into it, it definitely gets a bit on the Sibilance side. These NT1s are known for bringing out extra sibilance in some people's voices, and that's really the only major flaw with this when you're using it on XLR. Let's go ahead and switch over to USB. We'll show you all the DSP effects and the Roden Connect software and all that good stuff. So this is what the microphone sounds like on USB with the Roden Connect software. So basically, if you click on the little thing that shows your microphone, you're going to see a noise gate available. You're going to see a compressor available. You're going to see an exciter that's available, which has the big bottom and the RL exciter. And then you're going to go back to your noise gate. So you got 3 things: compressor, exciter, noise gate, right? You can adjust the gain over here by clicking on these little things. Right now we've got it on 30 decibels of gain. And there's also a high pass filter, which I have turned off. You can do 75 hertz. Personally, I like my high pass filter to be at 60 hertz. I wish they would have made this a little more adjustable. And then there's also a 150 hertz high pass filter. And this is how the microphone sounds once we activate the exciter, the big bottom, the noise gate, the compressor, and all that stuff. Personally, I don't like it. I would not use this myself. Let's go ahead and crank the big bottom up to max. That is max level right there. We got the drive on 100%. Let's go ahead and play with the oral exciter a little bit. So let's go ahead and reduce some of the big bottom there. Personally, it's just a bunch of stuff that's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to really use any of this. Personally, I'm going to just turn it off and let me deactivate all these things. And that's pretty much how I'm going to use this thing on USB with no processing. The only thing I'm going to adjust in here is the amount of gain we're using. So yeah, I don't know. The USB stuff is not for me. If you didn't just notice, there was a bunch of Polsives. I was popping the microphone without proper monitoring. You can't hear if that stuff is happening or not. So I didn't know that happened until I played it back. without having the zero latency monitoring or being able to monitor yourself properly, it gets weird. All right, so this is what's happening when we have the monitoring on, and it's just such a slight little slapback delay. If you notice, I'm probably speaking funny and not pronouncing things correctly and talking slow. It's almost, it's just throwing me off. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. Now, I just heard myself do a Polsive, so I know I just messed up. But anyways, I'm not a fan of the whole USB thing. It's throwing me off. I can't do it. Now we're back on XLR. Do you hear any difference between the way it sounds right now and the way it sounded a minute ago? You can rewind it a little bit if you need to, but this is the way it sounds on XLR. We are going to handhold this for the rest of the video just to see what kind of resonance and handling noise we get if you're hand holding this for some weird reason. So I am going to give you my final thoughts on this microphone, and then we're going to do a couple of sound comparisons between a couple of other microphones. If you're looking for an XLR microphone that sounds great and a condenser is the type of microphone you're looking for, well, this may be the one. I would probably look into getting a different shock mount for it if you're sitting down in a chair, but if you're standing up, the one it comes with will work just fine. If your boom arm or your microphone stand can't hold a little bit of weight though, you may need to upgrade to a heavier duty boom arm or microphone stand. The overall sound quality on USB or XLR is top notch. Professional voice actors use Rode NT1s because they're just that good. Once in a land far, far away, in a galaxy unknown to humans, there was a guy. He was cool. I don't know what to say. For the $250 price tag, what you're getting here is basically top notch. But they failed to add a couple of simple things like a headphone jack for zero latency monitoring. And that shock mount system is very uncomfortable and annoying for anybody sitting in a chair. And it would have been really nice if they would have added a gain knob onto the microphone so you didn't have to plug it into some sort of software just to adjust the gain on the microphone. So for an XLR microphone, you can't beat it. For a USB microphone, well, it would have been perfect if it wasn't for those two things. Now, there may be some people who prefer not to have the gain knob, but I can see some situations where you're going to be like, man, I can't control my gain. That's mainly for somebody who's taking this on the road for a traveling microphone or something like that, though. Your average person that's at home on their computer, well, yeah, they're always going to be able to plug it in and get to the software, but if you're traveling with this thing, it might be a little bit of a different story. But overall, this microphone just has a very nice, well-rounded sound. It is definitely a pro quality microphone that sounds great. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm definitely not going to be using it as a USB microphone myself because I want to be able to monitor myself with zero latency, and I can't do that. So that is a 100% deal breaker for me. But the sound quality, the features you get, like everything about this besides the things I mentioned are just, it's so close. This microphone was so close to being perfect, but they just left off a couple of little features. Now we're going to go ahead and compare this to a couple of microphones. I am currently talking on the Rode NT1 5th generation, and this is the way it sounds. Now I am talking on the legendary Shure SM7B dynamic microphone. I mean, it's kind of hard to compare a condenser to a dynamic, but we are doing it. So this is the Shure SM7B. I am back on the Rode NT1 5th generation, and this is the way it sounds. So let's go ahead and switch to the next microphone. This is the Lewitt LCT 440 pure condenser microphone, and this is the way it sounds compared to the Rode NT1 5th generation. I am back on the Rode NT1 5th generation, and this is the way it sounds. So let's go ahead and switch to the next microphone. This is the Samson Q2U, which will run you roughly $60, maybe $50. I think I said that wrong, but hey, you guys get the idea. I am back on the Rode NT1 5th generation, and this is the way it sounds. So let's go ahead and switch to the next microphone. This is the Stellar X2 condenser microphone by TechZone Audio Products, and this is the way this one sounds. So let's switch back to the Rode. I am back on the Rode NT1 5th generation, and this is the way it sounds. We told y'all about it, we compared it to some other microphones, and the question is this worth buying? Ancient microphone theorists say yes. As long as you don't mind the lack of zero latency monitoring on USB or being poked in the chest by the shock mount if you're sitting down, it's a great microphone. For $250, you're probably not going to find anything that sounds better. This microphone could have been the only microphone you would ever need, but they did leave off a couple of features, so Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, drop down the video's description, or to check the pinned comment. There's the Amazon affiliate link, the Waves Audio affiliate link, a bunch of info, news, things, whatever. Who knows what's down there? I think there's links to my other YouTube channels, my Discord server, and all kinds of stuff in the video's description. And there's people yelling in the background. I'm sorry if you have to hear that, but that's what happens when you're on a condenser microphone. They pick up every little thing that's going on around you. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day. Lightning out. See ya.